One of my absolute favorite people involved in the entertainment industry is Richard Ayoade. He's a brilliant actor, writer, director, host, and overall comedian. You can think of this video as a guided tour through his body of work, but first I want to explore the role played by perception and persona in comedy.
A lot of the roles that you've found in comedy have been playing geeks. Why do you think it's happened that way for you?
I'm unlikely to be cast as a Robert Redford type, and there's an overlap between my lack of social presence and being geeky in some way. And the audience slightly decides who you are, you know, what you're able to play.
Many UK funny people play up certain elements of their character. The public grows to perceive them in a particular way, and that perception can be mined for comedy by them or other comedians. For David Mitchell, it's poshness.
I would never claim to have your range as an actor, David. Shall I do posh and repressed, or repressed and posh?
For Noel Fielding, it's glam eccentricity.
I'm going to give you a Chinese burn, and then Kristen's going to pour
pot noodle on me. Yeah, go on.
Cream soda this
then
time.
Some dragons are going to fly in and put bubbles in my head. So how it works, you just say funny words and it works, does it? Just throw out weird words, hippopotamus and juggling. Is that what happens? Anyone can do that. I've got fact-based jokes.
Don't make me cut the stuffing out of your pillow.
With a pair of scissors made of glitter.
No, with a motorbike made of jealousy.
Richard Ayoade makes use of a very carefully constructed public persona, and for my money gets more mileage out of his persona than any other working UK comedian.
There's this quote, which this is going to sound bad, because I was reading a Michel de Montaigne book. This is my demographic. I'm sticking with 16th century French thinkers this week, and he was quoting Petrarch.
Yep.
Even older and more obscure.
No, I know what it is, I know what's coming up.
That guy.
No, he's great.
These guys are all about Petrarch.
Over the course of his career, he's built a fully formed image as to who he is as a person. As a viewer, you feel like you know and understand him well as the nerdy, socially awkward intellectual.
I have a level of social anxiety that is relatively high. So Graham Linehan, who wrote The IT Crowd, when he was casting it, he said, I've written a show with you in mind. It's for this incredibly nerdy, socially awkward person with no people skills whatsoever.
You'd be perfect for it.
So I thought of you. I may be more awkward than I thought I was, but then I never saw anyone because I was in my room a lot. And it's fine not to speak when you're on your own, and to stammer and to not have eye contact. But outside, it's frowned upon.
His role in the IT Crowd helped to thoroughly establish this persona, but importantly, his unscripted in-character moments feel genuine and have an endearing quality.
Where's Richard's tray?
Richard's
you need
worried.
that back.
Hey, look, this is every break time at school. There's always someone like you with my tray of Maltesers.
What are you going to do, mate? What are you going to do?
No, Johnson. You let bullying happen in the workplace.
Richard,
you let it happen.
This is
I've
the
got
tea.
half a button. That's right.
Richard, this is the
That's
tea
right.
talking.
Oh, by the way, Morton Harkett called. He wants his fucking jacket back. All right? I don't know anything. You don't know anything. You were born 20 minutes ago. Your hair's still wet from the fucking womb. All right.
Richard, you keep...
Don't. You've finished all my sweets. I've 5 years of that. 5 long years. Every day I bought a tray of sweets, and a fucker like you took them. Doing the exact thing I did. I worked hard in the morning to buy my tray of sweets.
Hey, I've got a tray. That's why they stole them. They were in
Yes, they were uncovered. They were uncovered. I should have clean filmed them. You should have. I should have. And by the time I was 15, I clean filmed them.
You should have learned to share, Richard, then maybe
I
have
can't
more
hear the
friends.
bloods in my ears now.
They're still in good shape.
Richard, would you like some tea?
It's very hard for me to climb down from this energy. It's very hard.
a cola bottle, you'll be fine.
No! Thank you.
He leans into this persona and often purports that he isn't an entertainer or isn't funny or talented as an actor, and often seems uncomfortable or out of place in whatever situation he finds himself in. For instance, he seems like the kind of person who would never be comfortable doing an impression. It seems out of his comfort zone, which makes the times that he does belt out an impression extra funny due to its out-of-character nature.
Everybody wants to rule the world.
Let it all out!
It's incredible.
These are the things I can do without. Come on.
The driver doesn't seem to be joining in.
No, he doesn't.
You didn't have to shout.
Oh, I'll do it again.
You didn't have to sell your soul. You didn't have to shout. Shout.
And then he goes low.
Yeah.
I will admit, it doesn't sound as close to him as I remember.
You are destroying my confidence.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Just build me up a little bit.
He's able to pick key moments that go against his established persona for hilarious juxtaposition. His comedy is usually delivered dry and straight-faced, and finding a genuine laugh from him is quite rare. This moment from Crystal Maze is probably the most unfettered chuckle I've seen from the man.
It's fine. Whoops. That's not ideal.
As a writer, Richard Ayoade worked on the short-lived sketch comedy show Bruiser, a treasure trove of up-and-coming comedic talent with the likes of Olivia Colman, Robert Webb, David Mitchell, Ricky Gervais, Martin Freeman, and Matthew Holness all involved. Ayoade would collaborate with Matthew Holness on a number of future projects, including most notably Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, which is to me one of the funniest shows ever made.
Well, we can start by burning what's left of the body.
Get lost.
Cool it, Sanchez, or you'll get a knuckle supper. Look, Douglas, you're an excellent doctor, but you're also a live wire maverick, who when he's not bucking the system, is biting the hand that feeds, which in your case, it's this hand. Now, I'm not about to tell the immediate family of the deceased that we're going to have to burn what remains of his body in order to close the portals to another dimension. I just won't do it. This hospital's got a reputation, which I intend to keep. I've yet to see any demons on the ward, and I'm particularly observant. So go back to your lab and make me a pill that can cure madness, or I'll kick your ass so hard you'll be able to build a pool in the footprint. Understood?
As crystal. But if the gates of hell do reopen, don't say I didn't specifically warn you, because I just have, and that means you'd be lying.
It's a perfect cult series, which is oddly fitting for the subject matter of the show. It wasn't popular when it first aired and was cancelled after only one series, but over time it generated a loyal fan base. Garth Marenghi's Dark Place is a genre and medium parody akin to something like Black Dynamite. Ayoade co-wrote the series with Matthew Holness, co-stars as producer Dean Lerner, and also directed every episode.
Here is Dean Lerner playing Thornton Reed, not putting on an act, but putting on the truth.
Listen up, ladies, we've got a situation. A little lass has just cracked her nut, and if she croaks, my ass is grass.
The show only ran for 6 episodes, but brings me to the point of painful laughter in every single one of them. The characters of Garth Marenghi and Dean Lerner first debuted 4 years earlier at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And if you're a fan of the series and want a little extra content, there was a spin-off called Man to Man with Dean Lerner.
And you've got a new book coming out now. Let's have a squiz at a clip.
You know, it frightens me how many novels of terror I've written. Now you can buy all 436 in one easy-to-read volume.
From Garth Marenghi, who brought you Slicer, Slasher, Ripper, and many more, comes Garth Marenghi's The Oeuvre.
It was basically a chat show hosted by Ayoade's producer character Dean Lerner. The same people were involved, including Matthew Holness, who played a different character in each of the show's 6 episodes, Garth Marenghi being one of them. Between the two was ADBC, a 30-minute rock opera which Ayoade directed, co-wrote, and co-starred alongside many frequent collaborators, Noel Fielding, Julian Barrett, and Matt Berry, all of whom were also in Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Julian Barrett had a small role as a priest, and Noel Fielding had a teeny-tiny role in a monkey suit. All of them were also involved in The Mighty Boosh and its many incarnations. Ayoade actually played Dixon Bainbridge in the pilot, a role that would end up being played by Matt Berry instead due to contract issues. Ayoade ended up playing a different role in the show later on. In an early episode, one of the mutants is even called Ayoade as a little in-joke. He was also involved in the writing and script editing of the show. Of all Richard Ayoade's frequent collaborators, he's worked the most with Noel Fielding. The two are often paired up out of character, and their chemistry is great. You can feel a genuine sense of friendship when they appear together on panel shows or anywhere out of character. I would love to see a show where the two can fully perform as a comedy duo. Ayoade played a handful of different roles on Noel Fielding's luxury comedy, but that's actually a show that I plan on talking about in greater detail, so I'll save that for another video. Richard Ayoade had a supporting role on the Charlie Brooker and Christopher Morris penned Nathan Barley, and on the oddity that is Time Trumpet.
The Arctic Monkeys, everyone heard the sound of their music, and I don't think there's anyone who didn't go, it's all right.
But the role he's most known for is definitely Maurice Moss on the IT Crowd.
Oh dear me.
What are you laughing at?
This flipping circuit board, Jen.
He's a great character and a great performance, one that earned him the BAFTA for Best Male Comedy Performance.
Was a kind of membrane through which Graham Linehan was able to push his amazing brilliance through with minimal resistance of my own lack of ability to express emotion in my face. So I hope this serves as an inspiration to other nasal men with no facial expression or emotional range.
His frequent collaborators, Noel Fielding and Matt Berry, also have large roles in the show, and of course the show was created by Graham Linehan, who had a small involvement in ADBC, a rock opera. So it all comes full circle, if you want to call this weird-ass shape a circle. The IT Crowd was actually my first exposure to Richard Ayoade and many of the people involved. I first saw it when I was quite young, and I have to admit, when I watched it for the first time, and Matt Berry took the position of Christopher Morris from the second series on, I didn't like him. I didn't get what Matt Berry was doing and found any scene with him a slog to get through. Then I saw Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, and it clicked for me.
When I first joined this hospital, I was strictly solo. You were the first real buddy I ever had. But if you and he wish to be best buddies again, I won't stand in your way.
Oh, that's what he's doing. I've since rewatched the IT Crowd more than once, actually, and now Matt Berry is one of my favorite parts.
But I'm not aroused, it's only cars, god damn these electric sex bands.
I actually think Matt Berry is one of the funniest people working today. It's odd how far my opinion on him swung.
I don't think I've ever looked in this drawer. Wow, a gun! I wonder if it's loaded. No.
Ayoade was also the only actor to reprise his role as Maurice Moss in the attempted American remake of the IT Crowd. There was also a German remake of the show, but holy shit, let's not even go there. The American IT Crowd didn't make it past the pilot, and for good reason. The Chris O'Dowd role went to Joel McHale. Ayoade and McHale would have a future overlap when Richard Ayoade would end up directing an episode of one of my favorite shows, Community. He directed the episode Critical Film Studies. That's the Pulp Fiction episode, if you don't know. As of late, he's been doing a lot of voice work for projects like Danger Mouse, Early Man, Apple and Onion, The Box Trolls, and Neo Yokio. Richard Ayoade's one big American film was a bit of a failure, The Watch, in which he starred alongside Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, and Jonah Hill. The film is a comedy about a neighborhood watch group who has to deal with an alien threat. There's a bit of historical context around the film that poisoned its chances of success. The film was released right after George Zimmerman, a neighborhood watch member, shot and killed Trayvon Martin. A very poorly timed release. Even in isolation, the film wasn't anything great. Ayoade is easily the best part, though. Ben Stiller also served as an executive producer on Richard Ayoade's feature-length directorial debut, Submarine. Ayoade's two feature films, Submarine and The Double, are both fucking great, and I would highly recommend them. You don't need to be a fan of his as an actor or a comedian. They're just expertly made, high-quality films. And they're both incredibly different, too. Submarine is a heartfelt coming-of-age tale with creative presentation choices and a top-notch cast. And The Double is a technically impressive, dark, moody thriller with some comedy elements, with excellent cinematography, incredible production design, and a strong sense of atmosphere and world-building. Each are amongst my favorite films from the year in which they were made. It's been about 5 years now without another feature film from him, which is a real shame. Neither of them seem to have found the right size audience that they deserved. The Double was released around the same time as the Denis Villeneuve film Enemy. Enemy is a brilliant film, and I actually have a video essay on this channel for that as well. The Double and Enemy have a lot of similarities and overlap, however, and that may have hurt viewership. Both are thrillers about doppelgangers that have their leads playing dual roles, and both were adapted from novels that are also both called The Double. They aren't actually adapted from the same book, however, but two separate books that share the name The Double. Enemy is an adaptation of Jose Saramago's The Double, while The Double is an adaptation of Dostoevsky's The Double. Well, confusing. I hope Richard Ayoade directs another film. I'll be eagerly anticipating it. He has a track record for directing music videos as well for bands like Vampire Weekend, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, and the Arctic Monkeys, whose frontman Alex Turner composed the original soundtrack to Ayoade's film Submarine. He's become a devastatingly successful presenter/host after taking over the reins from Stephen Fry as the titular Gadget Man from the second series on, and helming the spin-off Travel Man. Both are shows that I would normally have absolutely no interest in, but Ayoade's presence and many of his guests turn them into shows that I actually quite enjoy. He's also the new host of The Crystal Maze, taking over for Richard O'Brien. He was a team captain on the unfortunately short-lived panel show Was It Something I Said, and he makes hilarious appearances on shows like As Yet Untitled, The Last Leg, Nevermind the Buzzcocks, and Cats Does Countdown.
Richard, any major regrets in life?
I think we're participating in one.
Which could only be improved if you managed to spell Tenettenba.
It actually already is a word. Tenettenba.
My favorite panel show style appearances are those in the Big Fat Quiz series. He's a frequent guest in the show and always wonderful. He's been paired with David Mitchell twice and Noel Fielding 3 times.
Who managed to set a new world record after spending 71 days crying in the B&Q? Richard and Noel, what have you put as your answer to this question?
Your mum.
Was it your mum? No, seriously, was it your mum?
Both are dream pairings, honestly. And for the Big Fat Quiz of 2018, set to air on December 26th of this year, he's paired with Noel Fielding yet again. Definitely looking forward to that, and I'm already rewatching the previous Big Fat Quizzes, as has become a bit of a yearly tradition for me. And I'm just going to throw this out there. I would love to see Richard Ayoade, David Mitchell, Diane Morgan, Miranda Hart, and Nick Helm comprise a series of Taskmaster. And that's everything from Richard Ayoade. Except, wait, he's written 2 books. I have them both, and I would highly recommend both to his fans. The 2 books share a lot of similarities, but are unique in their presentation. Ayoade on Ayoade, A Cinematic Odyssey, is essentially an interview-style book in which one fictionalized Richard Ayoade interviews a second fictionalized Richard Ayoade. His second book, The Grip of Film, features an introduction and footnotes from one of the fictionalized Ayoades from the first book, while being primarily written by Geordie LaShore. And don't worry, Geordie LaShore isn't a real person. It's still Ayoade all the way. The Grip of Film is styled as a film encyclopedia, with the humor arising from Geordie LaShore's tremendous character flaws. Both are funny reads that are sure to have you cracking up. If I could only recommend one, I would suggest starting with Ayoade on Ayoade. And now this is actually the end. If you were unfamiliar with Richard Ayoade before this video, then definitely check him out. If you were already a fan of his, then hopefully I've given you some new content to check out. At any rate, if you enjoyed this video, then subscribe and stick around. I'll see you in the next video, and yes, this is my real voice.
I live in a very depressing area of London. I live by the A40, which is the busiest road in London. It's very polluted. I took up smoking recently, and my cough got better. Because at least I had a filter.